Hello, nostalgia junkies and Steam Deck owners alike. I'm Sweet Tea Killer, and today we are going to be talking about something that I really love talking about, and that is emulation. So, particularly, we're going to be talking about emulation on Steam Deck. However, before we get into that, if you like retro gaming, PC content, game collecting, game emulation, everything retro gaming and computers, please consider subscribing to this video because that's pretty much what this channel is all about. I am in the middle of a playthrough on my live streams, in the middle of a playthrough of Legend of Zelda: Twilight Princess. I'm about, I don't know, that much through the game. I've never played it before, so I don't really know. Anyway, I digress. So that's coming up, and I also try to do a lot of different gameplay footage so that people who have never played a game before can be exposed to it and then start asking more questions about it. So if you like that kind of stuff, please consider subscribing to the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. And it allows me to do this more often and bring you guys more content and even better content. And if you're on Discord, please consider going down to the link in the description below to my Discord server. It's called the Retro Tea Lounge, and we have a good time in there, and we have a lot of different conversations. There's a spot where you can talk about PC modding. There, you can post pictures of your gaming setup, your collection, whatever it is. But like I said, we have a good time, and I'd be happy if you would join us. Now, with all that out of the way, if you're new to owning a Steam Deck, it is a very powerful little device. It can play a vast majority of most people's Steam library. However, that is just the tip of the iceberg of what it's capable of. And I didn't know much about emulation when I first got my Steam Deck back in 2022. As I got more into emulation, I learned it would open up the ability of the Steam Deck, and that's what I'm going to show you guys how to do here today. So without further ado, let's get into it. This is an updated video. If you would like to go back and watch the original video, there will be a link in the top right hand corner of your screen, and you can click and go watch that video, or you can just watch this one because this is the updated one. So either way, it's your choice. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go down here to Steam menu, or you can just hit the Steam button on your Steam Deck, but I have a mouse and keyboard plugged in. Go to power and switch to desktop. If you've not done this yet, this is starting to dig down into the power of the Steam Deck. The background may not look exactly like this, but this is what the desktop mode of the Steam Deck looks like. So you can get a web browser. It doesn't really matter which one. I use Google Chrome because that's what I'm used to. And then you're going to go to, or you can just search for EmuDeck. And they have this nice little link right here. This works on multiple different operating systems. I mainly use it on the Steam OS. And so, being that we're talking about the Steam Deck, that's what we're going to focus on here today. You can, because this is a free project, people are doing this for free. You are welcome to contribute to them. Many people do, and honestly, for game preservation, stuff like that, they do a lot of really good work. And then once you click on download for free, it's going to come up here. And you got the EmuDeck desktop. So we'll minimize that. Bring this over. Move here. I already have EmuDeck installed on my computer, but I am going to override it just so you guys can see the installation process. and then double click, continue. And now we wait. There is a lot of waiting in this process. That's okay. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be installed and configured and stuff like that. This nice little purpley window comes up, and then you come to this screen. Now, this screen is basically your landing page whenever you open up EmuDeck, and there's a whole lot going on here. I could make a 2-hour video just on what you see in front of you. But the first thing I'm going to do, so it's going to want to know where you want to store EmuDeck. And so I chose internal storage because that's obviously what I want. And I am working with a Steam Deck. I'm not working with an Ambernic Win 600. Then there is a lot of questions that you have to answer just on the personalization, making it yours front. So you can, the level of integration, personally, I like the Steam ROM Manager. It's what I've used since the beginning, and I mean, honestly, it works. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And here's where you pick all of your emulators that you want to install. You don't have to install all of them. That would take forever. So I have the Wii U emulator, Dolphin, which is for GameCube and Wii, DuckStation, and PCSX2 are probably the two. Those two and RetroArch are the ones that I hang out in the most. There is PPSSPP, which is the PSP emulator, RetroArch, and then XEMU, which is the original Xbox. Those are the ones that I use, and you are free to use any of the rest of these if you can get them working. I can't because I just haven't ever messed with them, so I wouldn't want to tell you something that I don't know about. So click Next. Then the tools and configuration, added emulation station, and I believe Pegasus to this, but just click Next. There is an autosave function for these consoles right here. And if you want to turn it on, great. It will autosave your game. But if you want to have a little bit more control of it, personally, I turn it off, but that's just me. Now, this is a really, really cool thing. If you go to retroachievements.com and make a profile, if you haven't done so already, then you can log in here with your Retro Achievements profile. And then as you play the games, they have a lot of games there that are, that have achievements to them and stuff like that. And it will automatically log it, send the information to Retro Achievements, and then it'll give your account credit for completing the achievement. So I will log in here really quickly. And that's all it takes. Some of the emulators, like the PlayStation 2 and DuckStation, you may have to do physically and go back and do again, but any way that it can track your achievements is the best thing. Oh, and there's also a hardcore mode. If you game like that, then by all means have at it. I personally do not. The game bezels for these are available. Again, I don't like those, so I turn them off. And you can change the aspect ratio for the Master System, Genesis, Sega CD, and Sega 32X. That's the 3.2. This is the 4.3. That's the one that I like. So we'll leave it there. And so here's the option for Super Nintendo and regular Nintendo. And also the aspect for 3D games. So choose whichever one you want, obviously. And another aspect ratio question. And this one, some people disagree with me, and that's fine, no big deal. But they like the, I mean, it says LCD shader. I call them scan lines because that's what they look like. I don't like those on there. And again, same thing. I'll leave them off. And again, more scan lines. And this is kind of odd because the A and B button on the Super Nintendo are not where we are used to them being. If you've ever seen a Super Nintendo controller or a Nintendo Switch controller. So I leave the position match A equals B. And then this is kind of a just a review of everything, all the options that you chose. So you go down here and click finish. And then you wait again. This part takes a good little while, so I'm going to let it run and skip to the end of it, and then we can talk about installing ROMs and stuff like that. So I'll be back in a minute. One little thing about this, and this is where this is a Linux-based system. I believe it's modified Arch Linux. You can come down here and click this open detailed log, and you can open up this window right here and it'll show you what it's doing as it's doing it. If you can understand it, great. If not, no big deal. So it is finished. So we'll close that. Now we go to next. And it kind of takes you to this screen right here. You can click on one of these if you have some ROMs and stuff on a USB drive. Great. Or you can do a manual copy, but ultimately where you're going to wind up at is the Steam ROM Manager right over here. And that opens up this window. And click Next. And then down here at the bottom, move out of the way, click Add Games. Parse. Now I've already added, from when I installed it before, I had a bunch of games added. So if nothing shows up here, which if this is your first time, nothing is going to show up here, you can minimize this, go down here to Dolphin File Manager, and you're going to click on Home, Emulation, ROMs. And these are the folders for each emulator. So if you look really, really closely, you have the Sega 32X, Sega CD, the Super Famicom, the Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, GameCube, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, Game Gear, the original Xbox, the 360, the Wii, the Wii U. You get the point. So once you put all of your games in the appropriate folder, so all the PS2 games go in the PS2 folder, all of the PS1 games that are first PlayStation, they go in the PSX folder right there. Some people don't know that. That's okay. But I've already put a whole lot of games in these folders. So I am good to go there. Then you can go back to your Steam ROM Manager. Just hit refresh. And it'll go through, look through all those folders, find all the games that you put in there, and it'll show them on this list. Now, if you added games in there and they show up on this list, before you try to go back to gaming mode to play them, you are going to have to hit this button right here. It is very, very important because if you don't, it doesn't know to save them to your Steam profile on your Steam Deck. So click Save to Steam. And then it's done adding and removing entries. And now, before you go back to gaming mode, you need to make sure of a few very, very important things. I'm going to minimize that. Go down here to BIOS Checker. And this will tell you whether or not you have the correct BIOS in the BIOS folder. If they can find a BIOS for um, the Duck Station or PCSX2 or stuff like that, it'll tell you here. One of the other ways that you can check and make sure, go down here, click on the little Steam Deck logo, go to games, and find your whichever emulator you're trying to check. We'll use the PlayStation in this instance. I don't need that. I don't need that. So go up to the top, click on System or File or whatever the emulator shows you, and you are going to click Start BIOS. And see, it didn't find a BIOS, so we need to help it. This is actually a really good teaching tool because apparently it's not finding it. So we'll go to Settings and BIOS. We will browse. Emulation BIOS. And I have it labeled as BIOS PlayStation. Click OK. Close. Voila. You should basically see the startup screen that you would normally see whenever you started the original console that you're looking at. So that's how that works. That's how you can also check your BIOS to make sure that you have the right files that you need. Once you have your BIOS files and your ROMs in place and everything checks out what you've checked on, or what you've done so far, you can go up here to this button right here, click on Return to Gaming Mode, and it essentially boots into the gaming mode that we saw at the very beginning of the video whenever you first turn your Steam Deck on. Okay, so from here, if you want to find the games that you just installed, there's a couple of different ways to do it. I'm going to do one of them. Go to Menu, Library, and then you're going to click on Collections. Now, the collections are the different collections of games that you have. And as you can see, I have a couple on various different systems. Here is Xbox. Here's the original Xbox. Here's PlayStation 2. So you can just scroll down the list. Here's the original PlayStation. There's all that. And sorry about the colors. For some reason through the capture card, the colors are not right. But whenever you're looking at it on the Steam Deck, the colors are correct. So anyway, but yeah, that is how you set up EmuDeck. I hate to say it like this, but that's how you set up EmuDeck in 2025 until they change it. And this was filmed July 2nd, 2025. And if they release another update, I will keep you guys updated whenever that happens to be. Thank you very much for watching this video. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Until next time, work hard, play hard, game hard, but above all else, be excellent to each other. Bye.